Shalom. So the Obama administration has forced Israel into another set of peace talks, quote unquote. Of course, we always want to pursue peace at every chance they can. So here's the question: is this going to be a possible success? I'm very cynical, and the world's already setting up Israel for blame. New York Times front page the other day had a little piece in the bottom that Israel building in the settlements will be an obstacle, and Andrea Mitchell on the TV said that Israel building settlements in Palestinian land is the obstacle. I fell off my chair when I saw that one. What Palestinian land? There's no country Palestine. There's never been a country Palestine. Only Palestine was Jewish. The Palestinian Post, the Palestinian Railroad, the chief rabbi of Palestine, it's all Jewish. There's no such thing as a Palestinian people. Okay, so if they have these negotiations and Israel decides to split the land, here's the question. It's not going to be Israel's issue, and if you want to read about settlements, watch my YouTube video, Settlements 498. But here's the main question. Now, Martin Indyk wrote an article in the New York Times the other week saying he thinks there's a reasonable chance for success this time. I think he's completely off his rocker, and here's why. First of all, is Abbas sincere? I mean, here's the guy who still has his curriculum calling Israel all kinds of names. His maps don't show Israel on it. He's never once said, despite many opportunities, that he thinks there should be a Jewish state there. He wrote his PhD dissertation on Holocaust denial. What he says in Arabic is completely different than what he says in English. So is Abbas sincere? Second of all, he's been saying continually ridiculous demands. Now, whenever there's been a conflict, citizens have not been put back in their own country. And in this case, the Palestinians that they claim they want to send back to Israel, most of them overwhelmingly never were in Israel proper. And if there's two states that come out of this peace talks, then the place for the quote-unquote Palestinian Arabs, which will be Palestine and not Israel. But he keeps saying that they should be allowed to go back to, never go back. I mean, they were never there, most of them, but go back, quote-unquote, to Tel Aviv, which was a completely Jewish city, and every place else in Israel proper, to destroy Israel, to make it not a Jewish state. So if they continue to insist on that, now the 800,000 Jews that were kicked out of Arab countries between 1948 and 1950, they're in Israel. They didn't get to go back. There's no compensation for them. That's the way it is in the world. So if Abbas continues to insist on that point, of course it'll be a failure. I believe that they're simply looking for an opportunity to storm out like Arafat did the last time and blame Israel. Now, the last time there were quote-unquote peace talks, 1,000 Israelis died after Arafat refused this amazing golden platter offer from Prime Minister Barak at the time, 98% of the West Bank. I mean, just remember this. Judea and Samaria, which is quote-unquote the West Bank, which is currently supposedly under Abbas's control, Israel's already basically offered almost all of it, virtually all of it. They're only arguing about a couple of tiny little percentages, where there's huge Jewish blocks, and those Jews have always lived there. And you know, this thing about Obama saying the press going to blame Israel if Israel starts building in those areas again. You know, the Arabs, Palestinians spoke with Israel face to face while those settlements were going on. It's only Obama and his idiocy who's raised the stakes here and said that settlements are the main problem, and that they gave the Palestinians a greater bargaining tool than they had before. So sheer stupidity in his Middle East policy. So issue number two then is these ridiculous claims and demands by the Palestinians. Third, does Abbas even have power to make a deal? I mean, you're forgetting about Hamas. Hamas runs the West Bank. Hamas runs Gaza. And they've already shown that they can operate with impunity inside the West Bank area, killing those Israelis at Hebron and the other incidents. And so even if Abbas does make a deal with Israel, Hamas won't accept it. And so now Indyk says, well, the moderate, so-called moderate Arab countries, which I don't believe exist. I mean, Saudi Arabia is one of the moderate countries. They're financing Wahhabi mosques to the tune of thousands and thousands of mosques around the world, the most virulent brand of Islam. Anyway, supposedly these moderate Arab countries are going to push Hamas. Well, Hamas is a puppet of Iran. What is that going to have to? It won't have any effect at all. There's no way that Hamas is going to ever accept a deal that Abbas makes, and so the whole deal is impotent, in my opinion. But the bottom line is that if you look at polls, About 80% of the Palestinians say that it's okay to use violence to achieve their goals with Israel, and about 80% say that the proper Palestine would be from the Jordan to the Mediterranean, leaving no room for Israel. And so, are you telling me that overnight that consensus will evaporate if there's a piece of paper signed? And what's to stop exactly what's happening in Gaza from happening in the West Bank? Once this supposed agreement occurs that the West Bank won't become a hotbed of missiles reaching every single point of Israel. I mean, I hope it works. I hope, sure, the Israelis know what they're doing. I assume they've learned the lessons in the past. They're not going to give away the store. And of course, I think people that care about Israel will back Israel in any tough agreement that it makes. But I'm pretty cynical about it, and I think you have to be ready for the world and Obama. Maybe he's doing it naively, maybe he's doing it purposely, but probably naively, setting Israel up for a fall here, and a lot more dead Israelis, sadly. Man, I just tell you the idiocy and the anti-Semitism of the world media. Some guy was saying on the radio about how Israel's taken down this security wall in part of the fence separation barrier, which has completely stymied terrorism because of a better security situation. And he said something like, "Sadly, it's worked." Sadly, that there's less dead Jews. I mean, that's the way the world operates. And so I certainly pray for peace. I hope this peace agreement works, but I am very cynical, and I just know, I believe in my heart that at some point in the next few months that Abbas is going to storm out and make this huge hue and cry about it's all Israel's fault when he never intended to make a peace agreement in the first place, and there'll be another huge intifada.